And then we arrive at Hamingia, one of the main features of the advanced rules. Because experience points in the basic rules are translated as experience and as renown in the expert rules. But they also come to signify inspiration, memory, and Hamingia in the advanced rules. And it follows you through life and also into death, because all the things you gain from Hamingia can be inherited by your children. Hamingia is one thing, but you also have a bad Hamingia. If you do something that the divine powers are not very happy with, you gain a bad Hamingia. And this accumulates alongside Hamingia. It doesn't negate Hamingia. And you have a system here where you gain levels of corruption. And when you gain a level of corruption, you get bad luck points and you can acquire flaws. And you can lose the ability to reincarnate, because the deities define your soul as worthless and destroy you instead when you die. That is, you just disappear. Bad luck, how that is handled, and the type of flaws you get, because this game is much about stereotypes. So if you are a dwarf and you gain levels of corruption, you turn into the stereotypical image of the dwarf. Become greedy and stubborn and so forth. And of course it's the same for all the races. A little bit here about how Hamingia works for bards and rangers, because they need to behave properly or else the deities won't grant them the ability to cast spells and so forth. How you can remove bad Hamingia, and how NPCs are already corrupted by birth, and the flaws they suffer from by blood, you could say. Advanced spells. How you can learn more spells if you learn all the spells in the spell list that are available to you. And again, you have your favorite deity, compatible deities, and divine rivals. Here we have some new spells. Here we have advanced elf spells. 1, 2, 2.5, and 1/4 of the page. Advanced dwarf spells, including some spells that were known only to the gnome in the Mithril game. And of course advanced orc spells. They have new spells as well. Frankly, it's I think almost as many as there are spells in the basic rules. Advanced Thulian spells, you have all sorts of spells. Note that some of these spells are new. You have the same spell here as for orc spells and so forth. So some of these spells are repeated. You have more spells that are Thulian, some more spells only for sorcerers. Summon Familiar. Yes. Then we arrive at Advanced Experience. And here you see there is a... Now it's more complex. And ReconQuest is a game where you level up, and you know, with some other games you gain experience points and then you buy different abilities or advancement options from using experience points. And when you have reached the maximum attainable level in ReconQuest, the game turns into such a game. Now you gain experience points and you use these experience points to buy things like a new follower. If you're a spellcaster, a new spell. If you want to learn a new language, you can use that. A new blessing, you use experience points. And note that the experience points are now also Hamingia. So yes, Hamingia gives you blessings from the deities. And how different spellcasters can learn their new spells and how much time they need to spend. Sacred sites have been added because if you build a settlement in a hex with a sacred site, you have a lot of pilgrimage to the site from your settlement, and the deities like that, so you gain Hamiya. A little bit about how a character, if it successfully reincarnates, he gains experience points when he sees, for the first time, touches and takes possession of his own remains. He also gains experience points for magic items that he owned in the previous lives, as well as gold or orichalcum that he can recover from his grave. So, rules for that. A little bit about how High Wood and Grey Elves gain experience points differently if they have settlements, how donations work, and so forth. Then we arrive at the advanced combat rules. You now have a rule for a last stand. Instead of dying immediately, you can survive with negative hit points, depending on your critical damage threshold. And if you succeed with a willpower test, you can keep on fighting even though you are mortally wounded. And of course, when the fight is over and you're no longer filled up with adrenaline, you collapse and probably die shortly after, unless healed. Rock, paper, scissors. How different weapons are given advantage when used against an opponent using another type of weapon. A little bit about underwater combat. How the increased attack rate influences the fumbling. And formations. You have a column formation, line, circle, wedge, right echelon, left echelon, skein, square, herringbone, tortoise or testudo. And here you have the different formations. And how this influences combat and not least morale tests. Second rank strike, if you're standing in the second rank with a weapon with a very long reach, you might be able to attack. Formations in mass combat, how that works. How you have to roll a die to hold formation in difficult terrain. Coordinated missile attacks. If 3 or more characters with weapon specialization with the same missile weapon stand in formation and attack a single target, that increases their chance to hit. Rules for random movement. Special rules for the throwing axes, as well as for the heavy javelins and darts. And these rules were also in Mythorog, but they have been corrected and updated here, because in Mythorog they are not entirely historically correct. Rules for disarming, and I think that is it. You get a new advanced combat quick reference sheet with now all the new information added, like here. Hold formation here, you have if you want to disarm someone, and so forth. So everything has been included here. Advanced adventuring, dungeon traps, how you can build them, description of the traps, wilderness traps, how you can build them, and how the chance for you to find a proper suitable location for them, and so forth. Trap making, how you make traps, and how this influences the ability of characters to spot traps in time to avoid them, and how hard they are to avoid, and for some of the traps, how much offensive value they have when you set them off. Because in some games, if you set off a trap, you take damage, but that doesn't really make sense. If you set off a crossbow trap and you're wearing a plate armor, you probably have a bigger chance to avoid being injured, and you do here. Aerial pursuit and evasion, how that is handled, much the same way as normal pursuit and evasion and maritime pursuit and evasion.